Hello and welcome to Eledor Plays EU4, EU5. Sorry. This is obviously EU5. I'm going to run you through how I run my strategy for winning the 100-Year War. I'm sure there's other far more optimized methods, but this method keeps away the horror of losing your navy, which has happened to me a few times. So we'll just get in and I'll just show it off. Oh, still tips. Now, if you're first starting off, this is what I usually do with England. One is I automate trade, because it's a lot, especially when you're trying to do other stuff. I usually rival Norway, because I want to get these islands. All I'm trying to do is to create the... My goal is always just to recreate Great Britain. I don't really want France, but I don't like losing either, so there's that. So I usually just grab them. Actually, no. No, sorry. This is important, actually. What happens at the start of the game is you have Castille and Aragon will usually rival Navarre. Navarre? I don't know how you say that one. So what you usually should do is actually rival Navarre. Build this strong. Then, Portugal. Get a royal marriage of Portugal. Doesn't matter who you go there. Basically, next month, you should be able to have Ireland. And then you'll want to... What should happen, you should see Navarre will rival both Aragon and Castile. Generally speaking, if you can get Castile on your side, you're pretty safe. Aragon, close second. I will also look at trying to get Denmark on side. Now, the other thing you should be doing, just crank the back up. Autocracy to increase your power. I usually get... Jeez, I'm using it real loud in my ears. I love it, but it's so loud sometimes. Anyway. If you get King Edward into position as commander of a navy, that boosts up your actual navy ability, which is important for England. And you've got two options. Either put Thomas in charge of the navy, the army, which will give you another boost. Oh, let's actually put Thomas in charge. He's already over adult male, so that gives you plus 50% right there. English Parliament does give a big decrease, but you'd have to change your government's your legal style to get rid of that. I usually don't play with that. Now, one of the changes they did with 1.10, can't remember the actual version, is they have it so you start with a boost to your militia. So you get the common militias as well. This means at start you have a pretty hefty army of 58,000 versus France's 3,000, 17,000 there in Brittany, Flanders. Normandy is a big pain. It's probably the biggest pain out of all of them. The scary thing is when you add up all of the different vassals of France. They usually get an army of something like 140,000. Now, I've seen a lot of people say you should scooterize Aquitaine. I usually don't. Part of my strategy is let them... There's an issue with the ticking war score, but I've never had an issue with that once I take out some of their armies, because what the advantage of having Aquitaine... Aquitaine? I don't know how you say it. I'm not French. How you say it. I use it as a buffer. So basically, the enemy will go down, they'll siege it, which will allow me to do a little sneaky stuff, which is where I will siege this down, I'll siege that down, and I'll siege that down. They're all independent nations, so you can do that. And won't have a castle take it back. Then I'll usually have my army split into two. I have one trying to siege Amiens, and then I have another sort of waiting nearby. What you need to do is let the enemy attack first. They will knock that out. Jersey may get hit as well. Not a big deal. The most important is you don't let people onto the mainland or onto where London is. Otherwise, I usually just... No. Yes, that one. Obviously, get your money going. Too much. And I usually lower this down a bit. And because you don't need your forts right now, turn that off. I've seen people suggest you should increase your diplomatic spending just to increase the amount of points you're getting. So it can get expensive. Now, cabinet. Just get your best people. He's good, but he's too old, so I usually wouldn't use him. So get Sir John. And what I'll get him doing immediately is... Where is it? Increase province control. So hit your most populated provinces. So Norfolk, Lincolnshire, Suffolk. This isn't about the money. This is about increasing your manpower pool. So the more you increase your manpower pool, we'll go to military here. So see at the moment, because of the control in Yarmouth, which is just that one there, we're getting that many war bows. If we were to increase the control, that would increase the amount of people we get. So at the moment we've got a negative of negative 37%, plus 50% from all the bonuses we get. So we can get rid of that negative, that increases the amount of troops we can get from there. The other things you can do is control seas. We'll do North Sea, because that's where most of the population is. There is some population here, but these provinces are of lower control. Just do that. They'll do that. Might be worth moving your troops to another place so they can actually increase control, but they're not great. I'm not really a fan of footmen, to be honest, but anyway. Especially the regulars in the early game. You can probably start getting rid of some of these castles and stockades. So just extra money you're paying for. You can see there, they cost a little bit extra to have this maintenance. I usually go through and clear out some of them. I like keeping the castles. So like Castle in Dover, Castle in Windsor. I just like it because I like them and they're historical. So again, so when the war starts with France, they'll either start it with you or you'll start it. Either way, I usually buy as much time as possible too. Also, yeah, where is he? Mr. Stapleton, you can go integrate. This probably isn't that important right at the start because it's not that many people, but it's causing a little bit of rebellion to build up over time if you don't get it done. This doesn't really matter. Just pick whatever you think's best. We should go for institution growth because if you can get that early, it's great. I probably do need that. These aren't that important, so. Also, increases stability payments. Get your economy going. I'm sure there's hundreds of guides about that. But basically what you need to do is get your troops, when the war starts, you get your troops to here. So in Hythe or Dover, I usually split them up between two, so I've got two separate armies. And then what you have to do is drop them into Ponthieu. But how do I explain this? have your ships ready to pull the troops out of Montreal, put them into Dover, because when you... Oh, it's Ponthieu, I think. It's the province. Ponthieu? I don't know how you say it. I'm so sorry for anyone who's French and knows exactly how to be saying it. You'll get a little bit of troops from here. We'll check. Door open. Sure. No. Anyway, get all your troops. Get them here. Don't raise ones in Jersey. Don't raise if you can raise the ones in Ponthieu, but get them across to here as soon as you can. Have these guys have your navy ready to sit here. Show you. I'm not actually doing this, but yeah, you want them to be sitting there, basically waiting to intercept anyone who would be interfering with your transport. You want to get your transports into Dover or Hythe, and then you gotta wait because they'll come in. The French will come in and they'll capture these provinces. You wait for that to happen. They'll start massing down to Aquitaine, and then you move in. You recapture your provinces, and then you basically play the game of kill anything which comes near you. You don't have much room to move, so what you want to do is take out certain vassals, like Amiens, St. Paul, and Boulogne. And then maybe hit Amiens if you can. I wouldn't really... In the First War, all you're trying to do is break the French army. Once you finish the First War, I would usually suggest expanding Ponthieu and maybe creating Picardy. And also maybe trying to build up Aquitaine a little bit. Just so it's a bit more useful. After that, another thing is when the war starts, we'll just speed it up to it. We're not doing anything. Pause. Hang on, pause. It's going too fast. Slow down. Game's breaking. So here is where we get our alliance with Portugal, and we'll go to Navarre. You should see Castille and Aragon have listed as foes. Now, unfortunately, you don't normally get Castille or Aragon marking France as a foe, which does hinder the build there. So if you get improving and improve, I'm out of points. That's too fast. My computer's barely handling it. Alright. What I usually do here, this is the start of the war. Well, not quite yet. You can do this. Well, I know a lot of people do that. I usually go for here. Gives you boost stability. Prestige isn't that important at the start, especially for England. You're not a great power, and you don't need to be yet. You definitely can punch a great power in the face, but you're not considered a great power yet. So I usually just get this one, so it just slows it down. It gives you a bit more time to prepare and build up, and just get that control boosted up a little bit. As you see, we're starting to lose some troops here and there. One thing you can do is also just get some roads built. Simple ones to build would be a road from Lowestoft to Bury, Bedford, Norwich. All them, as it actually boosts the control you would have in those areas quite a lot. Also from London into Chelmsford and Emerson and Walden. Walden is very important for income. It will be for a while, especially if you max out the saffron. Probably your second highest earning province. It will earn other cities pretty easily. Or towns, I should say. London is an exception. London will probably always beat it, and should always beat it. But as just a rural province, Walden is very, very useful if you can get that saffron up. It just gives you a big boost, and it's close to London, so you can have a high control on it, especially once you get the roads built. So when you're building roads, if you want to get the fastest route to them, do it like that. So what will happen is go from Kensfield to Walden. At the moment, Walden it's not that great. Like towns generally are better, but once the trade for saffron starts up, it boosts its value so much. Plus, there's always going to be a shortage of saffron in your London market because Walden is the only province which produces it. So I've sort of gone off a little bit off the track here, but we're just going to keep going. And here we go. So one thing with the war in France is I found something. It's something which has been added since in 1.1, where 1.10, I guess, is so this won't be relevant once we get to the latest version, which will be 1.11 eventually, whenever that comes out. What you want to do is look at your French enemies. So look for the power of them. So you got a. You can probably get Brittany to stay out of the war if you're going for it. You have to have money for this, but if you do that, that means they will stay out of any wars for a little bit. We'll see. Okay, anything. Let's wait for it. No. Oh, wait, no, it looks like they're actually out. Assume that's what it means. I don't know how you tell. Anyway, wind noise behind me. Which is creepy, seeing it's almost 12 o'clock at this point. Anyway, yeah, you're with Britain. You are you're a sea power. So what you want to do is increase your maritime presence, which means you also build roads instead of using road networks from. Rain, what are you doing? Sorry, I interrupted us for Rain. Rain is my cat. So anyway, mechanics for the 100 Years' War. Basically, you can ignore this. I have won this without touching this at all. It is useful to get some people out of the war, like Brittany. A good thing also is to build a spy network in France and then just try and ruin their diplomatic reputation once you build it up. I think is sabotage reputation. So discontent. No. Yeah, you want to sabotage reputation. That's the main one. Corrupt. Administration. Yeah, that's cool ones. But you sabotage reputation and you just make it hit people like. You can't really do anything with Normandy. Normandy is a special. It's a duchy. I've heard people describe it as something else. Anyway. So yeah, if you can ruin the reputation of France and get some of the stronger vassals out of the war, it makes it a lot easier for you. But again, one thing with England is do not split up your military forces. So again, I'll just clear this up quick. When you start the war, gather your forces up here. Do not worry about Aquitaine. They will handle themselves. Or not. It doesn't matter. You're not really focused on that. All you're focused on is breaking France's army in the First War. Once you can start breaking the army, and be ready to retreat if you need to. You have sea power. You should have sea dominance after you set here for a bit. And you have money to build up your navy further if you need to. Especially at the start. So also, you build hospitals, do all the other stuff you would normally do. This is just me talking about the war. So, I focus here. I literally do not worry about whatever else is happening anywhere else. I leave that for Portugal, I leave that for Aquitaine, I leave it for all my vassals to do their own thing. Usually Wales doesn't do much, it just sits on the mainland, which can mean they act as protector for the mainland if you have any invaders. Such as Flanders or Normandy or Brittany, because they usually have a bit of a navy going. Your focus is on these provinces. Maybe a bit of Artois. If you can hit these, eventually you'll start having different armies popping up to besiege and unlock them. One other thing you can possibly do, which may help, is get a fort on Montreuil. Not Abbeville, because it takes longer to get there. You want Montreuil, because it's basically just... You're not traveling over to a different province to get to it. So can you get... So, if you can get a castle built there, it might take too long. It might not happen. But it is worth a try sometimes. Yeah, so if you just get these 3 provinces captured, they shouldn't take much. Recapture of yours, obviously. And try not to get too much... do your best to make sure you don't have any attrition. Get 1 army on Amiens, and then just have another army sitting in Montreuil or Abbeville, just waiting to pounce anyone who comes for these ones. This is usually a favourite for the AI to go to. For a little Amiens. Ormail? I don't know how you say that. And, yeah. Then that'll allow you to win your first battle. Once you've won the first war, you should be able to then get Castille on side, or Aragon, or both. Get Denmark on side as well. Maybe looking in someone in the Holy Roman Empire on side as well. Or go for Provence. The other thing you can possibly do is if you get any... If you win really well in the first war, you can potentially get them to drop or release a potential vassal. So you just tell them to release them. So if you get Burgundy or one of the other slightly more powerful ones knocked off, that'd be good. But you probably won't be able to. So mostly what you'll be getting in the first war is just these 2 provinces. Maybe Amiens if you're lucky. For some reason, usually when you do the auto thing, it usually goes Corby, Perrin, something like that. Gets you those, but I like to finish off Ponthieu first. We go by the extra provinces. So you got Ponthieu. Then you got Amiens, Vermandois. So eventually you want to get... Doing right. Anyway, okay, it's being distractive. So yeah. Once you finish the first war, and you've won it, hopefully you win it, I'll maybe restart if you don't. Sometimes the armies don't behave in a way you want, and you misjudge, and the armies get wiped out. I haven't had it happen to me in a while, as in my last 3 or 4 games. I've restarted this game constantly. I actually find this part one of the most interesting and challenging parts of the whole game. Once you've won the first war, though, France is still dangerous, but for the most part, you're pretty good. Especially if you can knock off France army somehow. I don't know why they got boosted. That much up. So if you can knock off their armies, particularly primarily France, you don't have to worry as much about the vassals. But if you knock off the French ones, you're doing quite a lot of job. And as I said, don't worry about Aquitaine. I use it as a misdirection and punching bag. So they're not punching me. What? The other thing is, you could do this instead, is just make Ponthieu just create Picardy, or just create Picardy and just give them the other province. I also like to make Jersey free, because I don't have to worry about it. And historically, it is technically not actually part of the UK. It is actually a dominion of the UK, which means it's a separate entity. Much like Man. It's a self-governing separate entity, which foreign influence is handled by Britain, which is what a dominion represents when you make Jersey. So actually, not terribly important, but I can do this. One of the advantages of having a dominion is it actually gets you a plus 0.1 to your so see here, So you get a plus 0.1 for every dominion you have. One other thing you could possibly do is Dominion of Cornwall, but that one's less important. Because I think Cornwall wasn't really its own independent state. But anyway, that is how I usually win. Well, I win the first battle of the 100-Year War. Once you win the first battle, you are generally pretty set, because then you've got time after that to build up stronger alliances with Castile, Aragon, Denmark, and by then, especially once you get Castile inside, because they are roughly equivalent to France on their own, ish. Ignoring the fact that when France's vassals are all combined, they have 140,000 troops. So you might have a big number with your 50,000, 56,000, but Castile has a big number, it's 53,000. But when you combine France's vassals, so Brittany, Maine, Artois, Normandy, Flanders, etc., 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 it starts really punching up. And unfortunately, Aquitaine does not actually have any troops. One thing to do is when you can, try and get Normandy on side or conquer them. And the reason why I make Jersey, and if you can get Man and a couple other little vassals, is the more vassals you have, or more diplomatic contacts you have, the greater chance you have of avoiding certain 100-Year War mechanics, which are very frustrating, where it randomly picks different allies or vassals and takes them out of the war. So if you have Jersey, that increases the chance that Jersey is picked and not Castile. So that way you're not losing 50,000 troops, you are losing 12. Or Wales gets taken out, or something like that. Those are less important. So you can convert these, annex Chester, Lancaster, and Durham if you really want to, right at the start. But the levels of control you have up north, I don't think it's really worth it yet. Leave them be. They actually probably create more money on their own for you that way. Let's see. They're creating probably more money on their own as they are than if you actually weren't, if you actually annex them. But don't be afraid to build stuff in the provinces, though, to build them up a little bit, because they all contribute to your market. And they've got a few useful things now, like salt, wool, and fruit, like in Jersey's case. So, again, just to repeat once more, capture, wait, gather your troops here in Dover and Hythe. Have your fishing boats ready to act as transports. Move them to Dover or Hythe, doesn't matter. Have them combined to one fleet. Means they can carry more troops at once. Have your galleys separated as a separate fleet, ready to protect the Strait of Dover. So once you have Dover, you stop Flanders from being able to interfere. If you have a second fleet of galleys, you can probably have them running as a hunter group, taking out other fishing ships and stuff like that. So definitely build up your galleys as soon as you can. I probably waited a bit late, considering the start time of the game. But yeah, once you lock the Strait of Dover down, that stops Flanders from getting over here, and will protect your transports. So, and just wait. Don't jump in immediately. Let them take these provinces. Let them get sieged. Let them then start moving all their armies down to attack Aquitaine. Once they've done that, you move in, you capture, get these provinces, go for Amiens with one army, split your armies into 2 or 3, but keep them balanced and whatnot. So when I say balanced, make sure you're doing this and that. You can consolidate regiments and then balance the unit. So if you're not balancing, you might have this really powerful, especially once you transport them. If you don't do, they should auto balance, but they don't. When you transport from across, I've noticed that the whole structure of navies of the armies gets completely destroyed. So make sure once the army's across, pause if you need to, especially if you're about to engage an army. Check the balance, fix the balance, reassign levies, consolidate levies as you need to, and you will have a better time. One thing to note is your war bows at the start are what make you great. So the warbow units are the best, probably the best unit at the start. Melee unit. They've got greater initiative. So most France would only have feudal levies. So look at what they have. They get increased strength damage, so they take more damage. Warbows do not. So warbows will beat French levies. Knights are still a danger, but the warbows do a really good job of dealing with them. I'm not sure if you can boost your mailed knights more. As England, you don't get too many mailed knights, and most of them will come from London. So you get 100 from London. You get about another 100 from Norfolk. And yeah, but don't worry about that too much. Troop numbers usually in the first war will get you by. So as I said again, conquer these 3 provinces. Maybe hit that one up. Then have an army on Amiens, where the fort is. So you're sieging it down. Then have an army sitting in either Montreux or Abbeville, and just have them basically ready to pounce. So, and be ready to abandon siege on Amiens. It's not that important. You see a small army come over to here and try to unsiege it, you attack them. One of the main issues you got here is you got Rouen right here, and they have a castle. Yeah, they have a castle. Later on, you can take Tankerville, which does not usually have a castle, and is the capital of this region. So it will capture you all these 3 provinces. Well, 2 extras. But beyond that, that's how we usually win the first battle in the 100 Years' War, which usually sets you up to win the 100 Years' War overall. Basically, once you win that first war and you win it well, and you make sure you kill as many of the troops as you can. Don't have to kill them all, just enough to get a good score, and then just get Castile and Denmark on side. The reason I say Denmark, Aragon is less important than Denmark. Denmark is useful because it can actually attack from a distance. It adds an extra powerful navy in. Aragon usually is a distraction for France, and they will just usually go on the siege pretty heavily. I usually use Aragon as a sacrificial pawn. They're my ally, yes, but I don't really care. Castile is far more useful and more important. Which is kind of weird, because I'm pretty sure Castile and England didn't really like each other, but maybe they liked each other at the time. Who knows? So anyway, that's been my video. Thank you for watching. If you want to leave a like or subscribe, I'd really, really, really appreciate it. Didn't show the actual fighting, but I was just trying to explain it. This is how I win it. And beyond that, keep doing what you're doing. Look after yourselves, look after your pets. Love your family, and cheerio.